Hey folks, it says we are live streaming on YouTube right now. So good morning and happy Wednesday to you. No, Tuesday. It's only Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. My name is Kurt Von Annen. I am the host of the Mañana No Mas morning check-in and everything else that is online considered Mañana No Mas. In fact, if you were to Google up Mañana No Mas right now, you would see 4 or 5 pages straight of just Kurt Von Annen Mañana No Mas stuff. And so I think it's interesting. Lately, I've been running into a lot of people asking about SEO and branding and all of these things. In fact, it wasn't even that long ago that somebody had said to me, they said, "Hey, Mañana No Mas, it's kind of a strange name. Why don't you think about changing your name?" And I actually gave it thought. I was like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe I should change the name of Mañana No Mas. Maybe it is a little weird. Maybe people don't really identify with it." And then I started running into people saying, "Hey, aren't you Kurt, the Mañana No Mas guy?" And then I was like, okay, can't change the name. And then recently I had a customer who is really big into SEO. Like they want to build a website and we want a fast website. We wanted this website. We want this, all this stuff. They want everything. And then at the end, they're like, and it's got to, search engine optimization, big thing for us. It's got to be optimized, And then they did a search for Mañana No Mas and they were like, oh my goodness. So obviously I'm not going to start over and rebrand something else. I've got years and years and years invested in this. Any case, today is kind of fun. Just so you're prepared, I am a little bit early today. I'm like 11 minutes early. I usually come on about 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. It's 9:19. I'm all coffeeed up. I got up early this morning and started jumping in on a customer's project. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about the work process, right? I want to talk to you mainly like, what is Mañana No Mas about? Like where do my business ideologies come from and how do I treat customers? I think this is important because the last couple of customers that I've gotten have actually been because other vendors didn't treat the customer well. So I think that this is important. So I got a customer I'm working with and I was just going to do a piece, right? So they have a project and I was just going to do a piece in the big project and, got them on a Zoom call, did a needs assessment kind of with them, figure out, what they really want to do. I said, okay, well, this will work. Let me get you an estimate for that. And, gave them an estimate, right? And I bid on a project, not necessarily by the hour, but they know that my rate as posted with Lifter LMS as a Lifter LMS expert is $120 an hour, right? And so we kind of figured that out and we said, okay, this is where we should be. Well, the other people that are on the project, quite honestly, just weren't very responsive to the customer. And when the customer would ask them for things, they would present an attitude that wasn't friendly, right? And I find that especially in the web environment, this happens. Now, artistic people tend to communicate one way, A-type driven business personalities communicate in a different way. And I don't know if it's the leadership training or, the DISC training, DISC certifications, and all of these things that I've participated in the past that give me a higher emotional intelligence in this regard. But, the customer is the customer. Whether they're right or wrong, they're still the customer. And so I listen to the customer. I try to identify where they're at or where their request is coming from. Like, what's the origin of this request? And why is this important to you? And is this something that I can accomplish? If so, this is how. If it's not something that I can accomplish, I'll say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. If I do understand correctly, you're looking for A, B, and C. Well, my level of expertise falls at this threshold. Or, hey, in this environment, honestly, that's just not a foreseeable option. However, if you wanted to change direction at this point, or if you wanted to look at a different option that might, influence other things, we could go in this direction as well. I always try and come up with some kind of an option, right? So anyway, and I'm going to explain this a little bit more to you. So anyway, I ended up getting the whole job. Okay, that's fine. They didn't like the other vendor. Communication was a little wonky. They said, hey, can you do the whole thing? Yeah, I can do the whole thing, right? And so there's different levels of web development. I'm really going to pull back the curtain here a little bit. Sometimes when you hire a web person, you make an assumption that that web person is just somebody that walks around with, ASCII or DOS or JavaScript or whatever, like in their brain, like that's their language. That's not necessarily their language. For instance, me working in the WordPress environment, I am really good at identifying tools and communication methodologies to meet a business requirement. So I'm really good at tools, communication. In fact, if I were to say, people say, hey, Kurt, what do you do? Like when they first meet me, I'll say, well, I'm a small to medium-sized business consultant that focuses on communication and leadership principles with technology to help you grow your business, right? So that to me answers what I do. Not necessarily, and I'm not a graphics person. I tell my customers right up front, I'm not graphics. Like if you need a new logo developed, go get your logo developed. Pick a color palette and a logo with someone else. Bring that content to me, and I'll build you a kick-ass website out of it. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, and I'm right up front about it. And I've got a graphic designer that I work with who's fantastic. Her name is Michelle. Michelle is great. In fact, Michelle Cunningham, right? You don't even have to come to me to get the link, right? Go to Michelle Cunningham. She's phenomenal. She worked with me at Suzuki, even commissioned her to do a painting for my wife for Christmas. I mean, when I found out that she could do it all, right? She could do photos, painting, animation, all of it. She's great. Anyway, part of being strong in your position is recognizing those gaps and filling those gaps, right? So when a customer comes to a developer like me, but not me, right? And says, oh, well, I know you're working in this WordPress thing, and I like this part of the site, and I like this part of the site, and I like this, but I really want this to look a certain special way, right? They'll say, I want this page to have, this size picture, this kind of a bar, and they start drawing things out on a napkin or a legal pad, or if you're on Zoom, you might do a whiteboard thing behind you, right? And when that happens, the developer and the customer need to have like that conversation. In a lot of cases, newsflash, the developer doesn't know what the heck he's doing, right? The developer has picked a theme, or they have picked a format for the website that best meets your needs. And then they've started to pepper in, your graphics and your content and your text and your stories and your about me page and your contact form. And they start hooking together different tools, right? Like I'm a tool guy, right? So I'm like, okay, well, you need a CRM. You want to communicate with customers. Boom, I got you. You need a learning management system. Boom, I got you. You need to sell this stuff. I got a shopping cart. I'm going to load right in here for you. You want to sell some products? That's a different cart. We're going to put that up here, right? So now I've got access plans for courses, and I've got, a cart up here to sell t-shirts. Boom. I'm building this stuff and it's working. This is fantastic, right? But then that customer comes along and they go, man, I really like what you're building here, but man, what we were really hoping for was, this picture, this bar, content this way, and then content this way, and then maybe a Twitter feed and a Facebook interaction and a podcast embed and a YouTube channel at the bottom. And I mean, you just start naming it, right? And there's all this stuff going on, but it's got to be spaced a specific way, with a specific font, with a specific background color, and you start going, oh boy, right? Because it's not in the theme. Right now, you got to build this. Now you got to build something. And again, pulling back the curtain far for you on this one. And again, this is the way that I deal with clients. So I spoke to the client and I got an idea of what they wanted for their custom blog page. Boom. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, they want this to go in a very specific way. And I've got to make this content dynamic, meaning the display on the page has to be fluid. It has to change as the data is added to the site. So as they add a new blog to their system, they don't need to like manually go and change other pages, right? It's dynamic. They add a blog to the system, and then the system embeds that blog in the appropriate category and displays it appropriately and all that stuff. That all needs to be automatic, right? So I start doing the research on the request last week, on top of the other things that I do, right? So I start doing the research on the request and teaching myself how I'm gonna build this. Now, there might be people watching this going, oh my God, Kurt Von Onen runs his own, web development company and he doesn't know how to build a custom blog page, right? There are some people that might think that, but I'm going to tell you, God's honest truth, most people in today's day and age don't know how, right? Because they're using ready-made stuff that you just make some changes to, right? Like I said, I'm more about the tools and making technology and communication for clients on a wholesale basis, not necessarily being so design focused. And in fact, one of the things that this customer has taught me that I value is her appreciation for design. Like, to her, it's super, super important that the kerning on the words is the way she wants it. The spacing in between the different items on the page is important. Having a lot of what a web developer would call dead space, but having a lot of dead space in her site is important to her because aesthetically, that's what she wants for her user, right? And so when you're working with a customer, focus on their wants and needs, not your instincts, right? And so I come from an area where you want to compress the page as much as you can because you don't want people to have to scroll through the website, right? And then along comes a customer that says, no, I want those gaps in there because I want that, I want that free space for my user while they're going through my content. And so you have to account for that. Now, here's where the important part where I say, here's how I treat my customers. Is it their fault that they asked for something custom? No. They can ask for stuff all day long. I could say, no, I can't do that. Or I could say, hey, I can figure that out. Okay. I said, I'm going to figure that out for you. Right. I'll figure it out. I'm not sure how it works yet, but I'll figure it out and I'll get back with you next week. Okay. That's how I do things. Now, I'm tracking my time on this project. I think this is important. Do I charge the customer for my education to figure out how to do this to make them happy? I'll pause here. I want other artists and web developers that watch this to kind of pause. If you're seeing this on LinkedIn and you're going, what is chargeable? Like what is billable, right? I feel that it's my responsibility to have the skills and the ability to meet the customer's wants as far as development goes. So I carve away some time to train myself on new web techniques that I don't charge the customer for. And here's the deal. What I'm learning on this project, I'm going to be able to sell over and over and over again. I'm going to be able in the future to actually propose it to a customer and go, hey, if you want to just use the templated format for the blog, that's fine. But hey, if you want to build a custom blog page or break your content into categories on multiple pages, or break your content into categories on the same page, or I can do that for you. You just got to let me know what you want or how you envision that, and I'll build it for you, right? So that's a skill that I'm adding to my inventory that I'm going to be able to sell forward, right? To be able to pay forward with. I guess it's a good way to say that. So I don't charge. I don't charge for that. When I'm actually building that page, I track the time, right? Also, when I communicate this to the client, I'm upfront about it. I don't go, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm your guy. I can do that. I flat out tell them, like when they come up with something, they go, well, I wanted this, this, and this. I'll go, well, that's a new one for me. I'm going to have to put in some time. I'm going to have to educate myself. And then I'll get back to you and let you know how much of your request I can fulfill. I can fulfill 80% of what you want. I can do 90% of what you want. Or bang, hey, I got 100% of it. Let's sign in and take a look at a sample and make sure it's what you really wanted, right? So what happens when you build exactly what the customer wants? You do the review and they're not happy. Here comes another one. You build exactly what the customer wants. And then when they see it, they don't like it. Okay. I do a lot of analogies with home building. How many times in your life, and this used to be popular, in the 80s and 90s. I don't know if people are still doing it. I guess they still are doing DIY projects, right? Home Depot's busy. But, you see that little paint chip, you see a little paint chip and you go, oh, this is a beautiful color white. This would look great in the bathroom. And then you buy a gallon of it and you put it all over the walls. And then the next day you go into the bathroom and you click on the light and you go, oh my God, this is the wrong color, right? Because what you thought you were going to get didn't match what you got. Somebody might see this color orange right here. It looks red on the video, but it's orange. And they'll say, hey, this color orange, this would be fantastic in the kids' room. We could do like half the room in blue and half the room in orange. It looked like we were Denver Bronco fans, right? And they go, oh, that's a great idea. And then they start painting, and the color looks good on a pen cap. But when you do a whole wall in it, you go, oh, too much, should not have done this, right? So I show the customer the work. I build exactly what the customer wants. The question was, when they look at it and they go, ooh, it's not exactly how I thought that was going to look. I want you to change, let's make the heading font smaller. Let's make the content font larger. Let's bold, the category title, and let's, do a 2-column layout instead of a 3-column layout. I'm just saying, right? Here's the deal, folks. I'm probably not going to charge. I charged them to build the whole thing, right? So I didn't charge them to teach myself because it's my responsibility to know about it. I build the whole dang thing out and I track the time on it. Now let's face facts. The changes that they just asked for, right? Change the font size and go to a 2-column instead of a 3-column layout. If you work in the web and you know where the options are, that's going to take me 15, 20 minutes to affect wholesale change on that page. Now, there's other things I do throughout the day, so it's not like it's 15 minutes from the time they ask me for it, right? I mean, I got to schedule the task and then get it done. But typically, I don't charge my time for that. And I think that's important too. Now, if I got a customer that's flip-flopping, I change it and then they go, I kind of like it better the old way. Can we go back? We're going to start tracking time, right? Because you're not respecting my time. It's a two-way street. But when I do a review with a customer and they have a couple of changes, I typically just make the changes, right? And I think that's important. At the end of the day, they're going to say, why am I paying this guy $120 an hour? Well, you're paying him $120 an hour because he's providing a great service. He's getting the task done that you wanted done, okay? B, he's treating you with respect, like a human being and almost as a friend, right? The conversations I have with them, even if they're critical, I always say, hey, don't worry about it. Of course, I take it personal because I built it. It's my work, right? So of course I take it personal, but I'm not angry. I'm open to the criticism and I'm open for your changes. So let me take some notes and then I'll go back through those notes after the call and I'll affect the changes that you want to see. And then we can take another look at it and make sure it's really what you wanted, right? We go through that. Now, if they are like 3-4 times, go this way, make the text bigger, make the text smaller, make the text bigger, make the text smaller. You got to start charging because that's a customer that doesn't know what they want, right? And there's a price that comes with indirection, right? But when they have direction and the communication is good and I can respect them and they respect me, I just get the work done, right? I bill for the work that's provided. In the end, everybody's happy and I ask for a referral. Mañana no más, the catch line is getting it done yesterday, right? Now, if we go way back to 2007, when I started saying mañana no más, I was saying, we got to get shit done yesterday. We got to get shit done yesterday. And I was volunteering as a youth pastor at a church. And so there was no way that I could actively say, hold this up for you. So this is one of the original business cards, right? And so getting it done yesterday with the asterisks became, the shortcut for shit. And so when you see the asterisks with the Mañana tilde in it, that's what that's about. That logo is, Mañana is getting your shit done. And that's what that whole circular symbol is supposed to be. And I got to tell you, folks, it is 2021. And the mantra of getting it done yesterday, of providing people great service, of focusing on leadership and communication skills, and then peppering in technology to improve people's way of communication, right, to drive profit. It's working. It's really working. I've talked a little bit longer today than usual, but I really felt it on my heart that today was a good day to be like, this is how the work gets done. This is how the customer gets treated, right? When I deal with, Mañana no Mas is like an umbrella, right? So Mañana no Mas, again, small to medium-sized business consultant, boom, boom, boom. One of my focused vertical streams in the Mañana no Mas environment is motorcycle dealerships. I love working with motorcycle dealerships. And fortunately for me, I'm really well versed in how their service departments work. So when I'm training service personnel how to increase relationships with customers, increase parts and labor sales, and drive profit, a lot of these same modalities come into practice, right? So it's ask the customer some questions, find out what the origin of the customer's concern is, find out what their drive, what their desire is, so you can help fulfill that, right? The sales used to be like way back in the day. They would say, find a need, fill a need. That's all sales is, find a need, fill a need. They would say that to us all the time, way back when, right? So find the need, right? Too many times, you're trying to sell something and you haven't even connected with the customer to find out if it's what they really want or not in the power sports environment. And so by working with service writers and service managers to help them communicate better with customers, I'm helping them to help drive demand for their service departments and increase sales, parts and labor sales. Now, a lot of shops, they hear that I'm doing this kind of training and they go, oh man, we're so busy. I couldn't even imagine training the guys to sell more because we can't even get done what we've got, right? And I say, okay, let's take a look at your numbers. If you're less than 80% efficient, well, then you're not working efficiently, right? So you're not working profitably. So the next trick is to, build the demand and then work on efficiency and productivity for that shop to drive that through. And sometimes it involves some work on the web. Sometimes it involves some of the training courses I have in the Power Sport Academy. And other times it's really dependent upon the one-on-one coaching that I give to the service writers and service managers about communication. But I really, really enjoy that. And so the way I treat my customers at Mañana no Mas from a design standpoint is the same way I teach my training customers how to treat their clients at their business. And so it's fun for me because on one level, I get to demonstrate and lead by example. And on the other level, I get to see the payoff as I'm able to pay it forward and basically mentor other people through business development. I really enjoy it. Horribly fulfilling, and what a great way to go. So, folks, I'm gonna round out today. That's good. If you're watching the replay on LinkedIn, maybe pop LinkedIn a message and say, "Hey, man, this guy should go live." Just saying.